Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is George here. I'm here with 94th District Delegate, not,
Candidate?
candidate. Yep,
Yes.
candidate Ken O'Brien. He's my personal friend. I've already voted for him. Just full disclosure, with the absentee ballot and early voting. Early voting is going on right now. It's a little late to get absentee ballot, but you can early vote right now over on Union Street from like 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. The actual day two vote is 1 week from Tuesday. It's like from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And that's on election day, Tuesday, 1 week from this Tuesday on June 20th. And right here, I'm going to introduce you to my friend Ken. All right, Ken?
Hi, Ken O'Brien. Hopefully the camera will shed a few pounds on me and not add a few. I've been out door knocking over 3,500 doors so far in the 94th District. Got to meet a lot of people. I think I'm the only candidate really putting that effort forth and getting out there. It's, again, very interesting meeting people, listening to their concerns, some small, some major. It's really reinforced to me why I am running in order to fix just the number of problems in this district that I think are going to be the downfall of the community if we don't do something soon and we don't fix it. Probably one of the number one there is school. We have 18 of 42 schools in the city that are currently unaccredited. If you look at any city, I would say in the world, not just in the United States, what has been the downfall of that community? The downfall has been poor schools, poor education, lack of discipline, lack of responsibility. If we don't fix the schools, we're not going to have a good community, no matter what else we do. These kids are our future, future of the community, future of the jobs, future of the tax base. We need to fix our schools, and we need to fix them immediately.
Cool. Now, what's your background? I know you have a big military background. I think your dad was in the military. You were in the military. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'm actually a third generation veteran. My grandfather fought in World War I, lost a lung with the 4th ID. My dad was Korean occupation force and then also in Vietnam. And then I actually started in the Merchant Marine. I was a graduate of Maine Maritime Academy, but I received a reserve commission. Business was kind of bad in the maritime industry. So I activated my commission. I did 26 and a half years active duty, was stationed around the world, did a number of years overseas. People talk about socialism. I have seen socialism. I have lived in socialist countries. So it's interesting when I hear other people's perspective on trending towards socialism. I have seen it. I have seen the poor health care. I've seen the overtaxation. People don't realize it. 23% sales tax in Europe. People talk about Europe and their and their train system. Well, they charge $8 a gallon for gas, and they still don't have an efficient train system, although they advertise it as such. So after the military, I became a government service worker. I worked 9 years as a GS, and now I'm in defense contracting. I would say one of the things that probably prepares me well for this area is the large military employment, understanding how the military works, what it needs. Also, the Norfolk International Terminals. I studied the intermodal systems in college, the train, trucking, seagoing. So I understand the basic principles of the seaport, what they need to continue to thrive, and how they operate to through the major industries. And I think that's important as a candidate.
Nice. So what kind of training did you get in the military as an officer in the U.S. Navy that you think will help enhance your abilities as delegate in the 94th District here?
I think there's two sides of it. One is professional, the other one is community. So I spent a large number of years actually as an in-demand planner. Almost everywhere I went to work, someone had requested me to come. We sit down, we build consensus within a group, we value everybody's opinion and their experience. We put together solutions to problems that we need to move forward with the military. Some of those are operational, but others are different types of categories. I will say that one of the things that really kind of upsets me as I sit and watch the TV now and I look at stuff are the knee-jerk reactions. In the military, we always sit down and we look at facts, we look at assumptions. We say, what is our goal? What do we need to reach that goal? We also look at secondary and tertiary effects of what we do. It doesn't take a brain surgeon to sit here and say, oh, we're not going to allow as many cops in the academy, or we're cut down on our law enforcement, and then 3 years later realize we don't have that law enforcement presence and crime starts to uptake. It's kind of sad. as many people have good intentions, there are people with bad intentions. If you have no respect for the law, I'm sorry, you're just not going to function in a civil society, and you probably would belong in jail. It's frustrating to see felons that are out doing other felonies when they're already out on bail for the first felony. So I think the military background, again, the planning, taking a look at actions, how they're going to affect us long term has been a very important aspect of my training and something I bring to the table. The other side of the house is really community. In the community in the military, we care about somebody doing their job with you. We don't look at people's religion, race, anything. We say, are you capable of doing the job? If so, you're treated as an equal, you're treated as a brother, you're treated as a sister. It's a very, very tight community. Even when I door knock now, the vets that I bump into, it's just a great respect for each other for having served and worked. I will say that in some of my capacities, I was a chief of staff at a Army base in Italy as a Navy L&O, the unit deployed downrange. And this is where the community aspect comes in. Throughout my Navy career, and as long as I can remember, I have been involved in the PTSA, vice president, president. I've been involved in, I set a booster club up at one base for kids and to support the sports programs. I have taught catechism. I have tutored kids in math and English. When fathers have been deployed, I have helped with college applications and even wrote letters of recommendation for people. I actually have a number of rental homes, and I've actually done that with my tenants. I've had tenants for over 16 years that I have taught how to financially plan, how to work, writing written letters of recommendation for their kids. So I think it's very important that people understand that my leap into politics here is based on a very broad range of community activities that I have done. Even in Norfolk here, praise to you, George. You set up the East Ocean View trash collection. I think we collected about 300 pounds of garbage. We were out there a large number of hours, and we bagged it all up. I have put in oyster castles and seagrass in Pretty Lake to help with the filtration and save the shoreline. I have worked with a couple of veterans organizations. I work with the Knights of Columbus to do charity work for also. So have been involved in the community and wherever I've been as far as I remember. So this is really, being a delegate is a step up for me, one I just feel I need to do. When you look at the area around here, I think this volunteerism that I do just isn't enough. I've got a lot of good ideas. I've got a lot of backing. I've got a lot of support. Like I said, I've knocked on 3,500 doors.
Wow, 3,500.
To get ideas from people and meet them and show them that I care. I don't have a campaign manager. I'm not paying people to go out and knock for me. I am the real deal. This is how politics used to be, and I think it can be that way again. This will be my first social media post. So just
on video, right?
On video, no less, and without editing. So we're going to see how it goes.
Yeah, this is unedited. So what you hear is what you get.
So, but I think I think it's important to get out. Also, I'm a little bit older than the other candidates. I've got a military retirement. My goal is not to work if elected. Again, I want to change politics. Right now, you can call a delegate and you can get a 17-year-old intern who might get your question right, might not get your question right. My goal is to, when I'm not in Richmond, is to eat at a different restaurant every single week in the district, support the local businesses, and tell people where I'm going to be for 2 to 3 hours and invite them in. If I'm on the javelin receiving team, I'm on the javelin receiving team. But I want to listen to people. I want to find out what their problems and what their issue are, and work to help fix those issues with the city, and in some cases the state. One of the things, top of my list is I really don't understand is there's a state law that says if you don't attend the school, if you homeschool, you can't play sports or attend field trips for a school then in the district that you live in. I really don't understand that. If you're willing to fill out the paperwork, you're willing to do the parental consent, you're willing to do the physicals, the medical screening, whatever it is, as a taxpayer, and your tax dollars go to that school, I think your kid should be able to play in sports and participate in college night, prom, homecoming, all of these different events. And I think it's also great for the kids to meet each other from the different backgrounds they come from and the different schooling methods they get. Probably develop a lot of good friendships.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I worked with a couple of guys that homeschool their kids. And it's something I brought up with Kim when he told me he was running for delegate about this issue. and it's something that these people are paying taxes, and then these kids are trying to play football, organized football with other homeschool kids. They have to travel as far away as like Baltimore from Norfolk just for a routine game, and it's very janky. The officiating is like, okay, you want to officiate? Yeah, I'll officiate. So it's not really officially sanctioned football, but they're out there trying to get it done and trying to get scholarships to college to carry on their education after they finish high school. And I just want to talk about your community service, because that's kind of how we got reacquainted. Like, we really know each other. We're both stationed in Naples, Italy, at the same time at ComNav York, ComNav AF, C6F, which is a mouthful. But that's where I know Ken from, essentially, because I saw him at a Civic League meeting. My first Civic League meeting I attended, Ken was there, and he was asking questions, very involved. And I'm like, that guy looks so familiar. How do I know him? And we started talking afterwards, and we were both in Naples, Italy, same time. I was like, that's where I know you from. We know a lot of the same people. I was very involved in the community there as well, so we have a lot of same friends, but not necessarily.
And you're very involved in the community here.
I am very involved, and I think it's a big part of to make a community successful. You need people that have buy-in to that community and look out for their neighbors and things like that. And I can attest that Ken is one of those people that he looks at our community, and that's the reason why you're running, right? Because you see problems, and you kept complaining, and they're not getting fixed, and you're like, I'm going to do something about it, right? About how you decided to run for delegate.
Yeah, so I got a little bit involved as I drove down the street every day. I adopted the street, and then realized the gas company came by and dug up. I had asphalt on the sidewalk for a year and a half. I spent a year in Iraq, and some of the wiring up in the air here reminds me of that. So it's like, oh,
we got it right here.
Yeah, PTSD
it's like, this
here
is
on the wiring.
2023, and we still have like above ground wiring.
Yeah, so there's a lot of issues. Just off track real quick on that. I'd like to do a study, and I think if we did one, I would say probably we'll find out that every hurricane that comes through, probably 50% of the areas that we have a problem in are repetitive. It's $1 million a mile to vary the utilities. The state had a $4 billion surplus this year. That's 4,000 piles of $1 million. It's quite a few. If you get $2 or $3 million, you're looking at not even 1%. A tenth of 1% actually, to come in here and bury some of these utilities and stop that, because there's a lot of issues. There are medical needs and requirements for people with equipment. There is the heating, there is the air conditioning, there's freezer and food. We pay, I figured out just a rough estimate, we pay $100,000 a day to bring trucks in here, pay per diem, pay people to stay in a hotel, and then to fix the wiring, everything. And of course, while that's happening, people are out of it. But there's a lot of reasons why I got involved. One is, like I said, I've always been involved in the community. I always want to improve it. I'm just running into a problem here where I think in order to get and bring new ideas to the legislative, I needed to run. So I was watching TV. This is really not a joke, but it's kind of funny. I was watching TV and yelling at the TV all the time. My wife said, "Hey, put up or shut up. I'm tired of you yelling at the TV." And I said, "Okay, I'm running." She said, "That's not what I meant." So, but she's behind me now. It's great to have the support of her. My daughter lives in the district also. And it's nice because she's 28 years old, so I get to talk to her and her younger friends and understand what their issues and their problems are. I'm 63, and again, when I door knock, I don't really get a lot of 20-year-olds. I get a lot of 30, 40, 50-year-olds when I door knock, some actually 90 even. And it's interesting. I door knock on people who are paying 3 times in taxes what their original house payment was when they bought their house. I mean, that's kind of shocking. The original house payment was PITI. That was principal, interest, tax, and insurance. And their payment now is 3 times just in taxes over what that was. So I went to a Republican Party meeting, and there was a ex-congresswoman there. I'll be polite and not name names because I don't want it to seem as an endorsement till after the primary. But she stated, "Hey, you've got a lot of enthusiasm. You got a lot of good ideas. The 94th is a brand new district. There's no incumbent. Why don't you take a look at running for that?" So we did. I sat down with my family and talked and said, it's a lot of the time. It's a little bit of attention towards us. Talked to some friends who said they'd back me. I have no paid, but I have a number of volunteers on the committee. We looked around, and January 2nd hit, and we all went out. We got our signatures first for running for office. We turned those in. We got the top of the ballot because we got our paperwork in first. Sounds, I don't want to sound, I'm not even sure what the word is. But I truly am sincere in my desire to improve the neighborhood, improve the schools, and make life better for people in this district. Otherwise, I wouldn't be running. I have no secondary agendas. Like I said, I have a military retirement. I'm 63. I could sit in my garage and work on my 58 MGA that I made the mistake of taking one part off of. And those of you with cars know you never stop at one. Now I've got it in about 1,000 pieces. So I think I'd love to stay home and put it together. But I do care about the people here. I do care about the area. This is just a beautiful area. It's just the diamond that just needs really the last bit of buffing and cutting in order to be a precious stone. We have 8 miles of some of the most beautiful beaches in the state, and I would say almost the East Coast as a whole. I mean, it's just gorgeous. And you see the development that's coming here, the tax rate. Taxes are a problem, as I mentioned. I lived in Florida. We had what we call homestead. This was the home you voted from. This was your primary residence. The state capped your property tax at 3% a year. That is a bill I would like to put in front of the governor. It is the city and other people taking somewhat of an appetite suppressant. It is our money. We did have a $4 billion surplus, and the prediction is over $5 billion next year.
Wow.
I'm a fan of not taking the money to begin with. If you don't take it, we'll spend it. We'll turn it over 5 or 6 more times and generate additional tax revenue. So it's not like, it's all gone when you give it back. There's lots of things we can do to continue to expand the tax base here and make people. Our taxes are, last time I looked, were 23% higher than Chesapeake and 26% higher than Virginia Beach. And I just don't see where we're getting 26% more for our money than the people in Virginia Beach are.
Interesting. Yeah, and there's a few things I want to backtrack on. You said you knocked on 3,500 doors. I bet no other candidates come close to that. Probably hasn't done a tenth of that.
Well, today is Sunday. Saturday I knocked on 158. Friday I knocked on 158 doors.
Wow.
Yesterday I knocked on 108, and then when I got done with 108, I had to go down to. I actually did a fundraiser for the Republican Party on the pier. Restaurant. We did it up on the upper deck. I had to go down and square the bill away on that. So I walked the entire pier and spent another hour engaging people on the pier, talking to them what is going on. I am active in the Republican Party. I will say probably somewhat more than the other 2 candidates. I did rewrite the bylaws that were from 2014 and unsigned, and we got those approved. I did a budget, which we hadn't had one in a while, so we can understand where we were, showing we had to raise our dues up to a whole $36 annually, which really isn't that much. But we had a great fundraiser, raised over $1,000, and that'll give the party some money to back whichever candidate wins in the November election, to allow them to invest a little bit money into the campaign. So I am active in the party. I make all the meetings. I'm on the executive board and try to improve things as much as possible there.
Yeah, that's good. And then the thing that I find really interesting about your campaign is you don't have a campaign manager. You don't have a lot of money either coming in either from like the Republican Party or donors, do you?
Well, I've raised under $9,000, and people are bragging about how much money that they've raised. I will tell you, in my personal opinion, money is part of the problem in politics. I'm trying to put the community service back into what some people have started as a profession, which is politics. We've got enough money for our flyers that I hand out, the palm cards, some lawn signs you'll see up, but I don't have the big 4x8 signs. A lot of the signs of my competitors are in front of businesses. Businesses don't vote, people vote. It's amazing knocking on those 3,500 doors. Most people have actually never met a candidate, and they're impressed, although they think it's a male model on my palm card, but it's really me. Yeah,
that's funny.
My wife says I got to stop using that joke. But it's interesting to talk to people and again listen to their ideas.
Yeah,
that's our constituents. I was at a meeting the other day, and I told people, I said, if I ever give you the impression that I'm anything but the least important person in the room, I said, you need to come up and put your foot up my behind and remind me who I am, because we represent the people in this district. We're not royalty. We fought that war in 1776. We're not privileged. We're not privileged more than anybody else.
Yeah.
The most important people are the families in our district that support the district through their jobs, their houses. You see these beautiful, well-kept homes, beautiful, well-kept gardens. People people in here that add so much to the community, and they're the taxpayers. That's who we work for, and I think a lot of people, unfortunately, at times forget that. But I'm going to try not to. I'm going to do my best. Like I said, I want to eat lunch in the different restaurant in the district. I want to be in the district. Right now, I don't shop outside the district, and I don't eat outside the district. Everything I do is here in order to support local businesses. I think that's very important. And then I think I may have to, and I'll get input back from people, that if lunch is too hard for some people, I may have to move one over to a Saturday when people are free, or I might even do something for a happy hour after work, where the people have the opportunity to come and meet me, because I want to hear what's going on.
Wow.
But not only do I not have a campaign manager, but I'm not paying people to door knock for me.
No.
I think that's just a little bit impersonable. Also, I'm not doing. I've gotten 3-4 flyers in the mail from people who are in this competition, and I really don't. The only endorsement I want is the people from the 94th, that I can be their representative, their delegate in Richmond, because of I don't want to be beholden to anybody. I don't want anybody coming back to me later and saying, "Hey, remember that $10,000 I gave you? Hey, remember that endorsement we gave you?" I understand not all organizations are like that, but I do want to win this on my own, and I want to win this for the people in this district. I think it's a good way, and I'm very happy with at least the comments and the compliments. It's hard to go out and especially in this heat to 100 to 150 doors. And I'm 63. I don't drink a lot of water before I go out. Otherwise, I got to go to Walgreens a lot. So it's a
Try Prime IV over here. It's a local business, and they're really good about rehydrating you with fluids and vitamins and stuff.
So every day I come home, I pump back up on fluids and everything else, but it's very it's hard to do, but I tell you, it's so encouraging when you talk to somebody for about 5 minutes after you've knocked on the door. They say thank you for being a candidate and do it. They give you some ideas. That keeps me going. It really does. And then they ask you, I even ask them, and they'll go, "Hey, do you have a sign? Can I put it in my front lawn?" And I'm like, "Wow, thank you very, very much."
That's
and
nice.
I'll go back to the car, and I park and then walk, so I'll mark a note on that, and then I go back. I also have people I take notes, people that have addressed specific issues with me, write that down, because if I do get elected, I told them I'll be back to knock on your door again in January, February timeframe, and ask, do you still have the problem, and let's try to take a look at it. So it's just these. Sometimes it's onesies, twosies. It's something different. But my experience has always been in the military, volunteering, and everything I've done, that if one person has a problem, it could be 50 to 100 people that have the same problem. There's just that one person that has the fortitude to come forward, or is not afraid of the issues, or is just a better, in some cases, just a better public speaker. So if they come forward, and that gives you the opportunity to solve problems when they're small, before they become big. Because as one of the things as a delegate I should be doing is I should be recognizing problems before they become big issues, because by then it's harder to solve. So if you can recognize the stuff early on and do something to fix it or stop it, it really truly makes the difference in the world, because you can actually do something about it. Once it gets super large, now you're talking more amounts of money, more votes, more everything. It does make it harder. Still achievable. So I talk to people, I write down all their issues, their ideas, their addresses, and I'd like to go back and bump into some of these people later and say, "Okay, I'm in office, let's see what we can do for you."
Cool. Yeah, I mean, it shows a lot of character how you've knocked on 3,500 doors. You're working with a shoestring budget, much of it your own money, and it's all about wanting to serve, that selfless service for the community, trying to make the community better is what I kind of take away from it. I've been observing your campaign since the very beginning, and it's been really exciting to kind of see it evolve. And I think that organic growth that your campaign's kind of experiencing is kind of inspiring. If you win the nomination here a week from Tuesday, and then you go up for the general election in November, I think it says a lot about how important it is that to shake hands, knock on doors, put it, burn that rubber on the soles of your shoes, walking from door to door, and confronting the voters and say, "Hey, what do you think? And can I get your support?" Not many other. I don't know of any other candidates that are doing what you're doing, especially with you working the full-time job you work in. You travel, You work a full-time schedule, a lot of overtime. I remember you were working for a while. You had to take pretty much paid time off to finish up the last push here for the last 2 weeks.
I took 20 days off.
Wow.
Final end of conception. Also notified my employer that if something does, if I do win the primary, that I've got to cut back on my hours.
Yeah.
And because this becomes the priority for me. I've met a great number of vets knocking on doors. It's been very impressive. I have a tendency. Some people smile, but when people fly flags on their porch and I walk by them, I salute them, and then knock on the door, just out of respect for it, for the flag. It's just been very interesting, just the diversity of people that you have met. And I've had a couple doors slammed in my face, and that's fine. It doesn't bother me.
You have very nice with skin, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Knocking on doors, a lot of people don't have that.
So
it's a lot about your character.
Yeah, but it's what I need to do. It's how I want to do it. I will bring up, the election is next Tuesday. On a very sad note, we have 41,000 voters in this district. We'll probably get plus 20,000 for the election in November. Prediction is based on historical aspects. We'll get 1,000 to 1,100 people vote only in the primary, which is about 1 out of every 40. And that's why I think it's every single vote is so critical with 3 people. It could easily be 1 to 10 votes that decide, or perhaps even more. But that's why it's important to get out, in my opinion, and introduce myself personally to voters and have them recognize the determination I have to win this, as well as the desire to win it, so I can improve stuff. I've had a couple people provide me additional issues.
That's good.
It's very frustrating. I talked to a woman the other day and who told me her daughter sits in the aisle of the school bus because there are not enough seats on the way to school, which I thought was illegal. And of course, I learned about the homeschool issue from you, door knocking. I met a teacher the other day that told me that they may be combining special needs kids with her classroom, and without an additional training aid, it's going to be hard to develop a curriculum to move along with both levels. So it's sometimes it even gets more frustrating when you're running, because you ran on a couple issues, and now all of a sudden you realize that I no longer have a couple of issues. I've got about 30. There are some things that are near and dear to my heart. Animal rights is one. I just don't understand how we take animals away from people and then we go ahead and let them have another one. I have 2 I fostered at home that are now adopted. It's just the joy of my life every day when I come home and they're there. And I know you have your dog also.
Dog.
Unequivocal love from the dogs to you. It's just it really makes me happy. Another issue not on my palm card that we haven't discussed yet is very frustrating for me is the adoption and fostering programs in this state. In my opinion, and it is an opinion, it's somewhat broken. When we make it so hard to adopt, we should be hooking parents up during the first trimester. Fostering, a friend of mine fostered and was paying a significant amount of money out of pocket. And then when you adopt, you completely lose all the medical care. For somebody in the military with TRICARE, that's not too bad, but for private insurance, it is extremely difficult to absorb that. Also, the kids get, if they're in the foster system, they get free community college when they turn 17, 18, if they wish to attend. My friend picked his babies up from the foster care, and they did not even have the correct car seats for the babies.
Yeah.
But people had given them some. I would like to think, I know there's adults with mental problems, homelessness, and everything else, but those are adults, and there's a responsibility that comes with it, and certainly not the ones with mental health issues, but to clean yourself up, get a job. Some of these people, Andrew Zimmerman, who I love watching his cooking show, he used to be a heroin addict and cleaned himself up and made himself better. Mike Rowe, Dirty Jobs guy, his 12-step program on bringing people into the workforce. There's just so many opportunities and so many models that you can do. But for kids, it's different. Kids have to rely on adults. I think every kid should have the opportunity, and I stress that, the opportunity to succeed in this world, and we should provide a venue for that. Their own decisions, their own personal responsibilities, that all comes into play. But I really think that I have more attention towards the younger kids because of their lack of single sustainability and they're not 18, etc. To look more in that venue for attention. But there's some great kids out there, and I ask people, have you been a big brother, big sister? Have you fostered? Have you tutored? I've tutored kids. I've mentored kids when their father had been deployed for a year at a time. I've written letters. Have you offered to write letters of recommendation to help them with college? Have you volunteered? I set a program up when I was in Italy at the high school. As you well know, our bases are mini cities. We have lawyers, engineers, everything. So we had instead of just plain study hall, I set a program up where, because I was chief of staff, it was easy to kind of manipulate people a little bit. But, I'd have lawyers come in and say, starting at the 9th and 10th graders, saying, what do you need for grades? What do you need to focus on? What do you need to do? Doctors, dentists, and engineers. Look at electricians. Great opportunity. Norfolk Naval Shipyard's having such a hard time for people, and if you get in the intern program, keep your nose clean and get into that, you can really be making a great living as a pipe fitter, electrician, or a welder over in the shipyard. But I'd bring all those people into the high school to show kids that you got to start your freshman year at a minimum to start laying the right courses, start getting the right grades, and even intern while you're in high school. Europe was big on companies like Mercedes coming into high schools and putting the kids through courses. And they would recognize the bright kids, and then they would bring them in at 18 years old into the factory with great paying jobs. So there's lots of, not everybody needs to go to college.
Yes.
And there's just so many opportunities that are out there.
Yeah, that's true. And I know you've done some work trying to get some kids that had maybe a messy past, maybe a little criminal background.
Well, I had a good discussion with the Hampton Roads Black Caucus. And they've not followed up with me on it. I really do need to engage them, but they're looking at trying to get security clearances for kids that have a weak background, mostly misdemeanors. A felony, there's not much you can do.
Exactly.
But that organization backed the governor last time, and the proposal I put to them was, I'd be more than happy to chair the first year, was to get the kids come in, interview them, show us that they're adults, explain what they did wrong, why they know what they did wrong, how they want to better themselves and what they want to do, and then try to get those misdemeanors expunged off their records. Doesn't make it a guarantee of clearance, but it certainly makes the clearance process a little bit easier for these guys to get in the shipyard and start to learn welding, pipe fitting, etc. Become electricians there. Journeyman, and then move up to the next level.
Cool.
It's all about opportunities. Like I said, I'm a big Mike Rowe fan. If you've not read his 12-step program.
You just answered it, I think.
No, let me just hang up. It's
Leave us alone, Rachel. We're doing an interview right now. So, but anyway, I know there's a lot of issues. Like you said, you have like 20 issues. You can check out Ken's website. Was it called? Is it O'Brien for Delegate?
Yeah, O'BrienForDelegate.com.
O'Brien for Delegate. That's O'Brien with a OBRIEN. O'BrienForDelegate.com. And you have the opportunity to ask him a question on there. He's very accessible.
I get back with a minimum of 24 hours usually to answer your question.
He's on Facebook. You can contact him through Facebook, through his website. He can come have a conversation with you.
Yeah, I'm willing to meet with one person or 20 people. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
If somebody has an issue, I'm more than willing to get together, discuss it with them. If they have a problem with me, I'm even willing to sit down and discuss that. But it's I do like face-to-face. I don't like 20 emails back and forth. I think you give the opportunity to follow up with a quick question. Everybody's available. I can meet you in a restaurant. I can meet you in a bar. I can meet you on the corner or in front of Walmart. I mean, it doesn't really matter where it's at. If you want to get 3 or 4 people together, a special interest group, I'm willing to do that. Every person's opinion is important, and every vote is important. So that's what I want to earn your votes. But I will tell you that I will only earn your vote through honesty. I am not going to lie to you to fool you into thinking I'm somebody I'm not. I have my values. I have the responsibility to be honest and professional, and I will be. Sometimes the answer might be a little bit longer than you want, as I explain the background of why I'm on a topic. but I will explain that and then go for it. And I've had back and forth discussions with people in the supermarket who have seen my shirt on me and knew I was running and asked me a question, and I've answered it and sat there. As long as we're not in the frozen goods section, we've taken our stuff out of the freezer already. I think I can always stick it back in the freezer and have a longer discussion.
Let's do it.
But I won't lie to you. I have my policies. I have my values from being growing up. My dad was retired. He was E9 in the Army. He's passed away now. And my mother are both buried up in Arlington. And he raised me to have values. I think I've been working since, actually, I can't remember. Out cutting grass, edging yards, watching cars. My brother's a West Point grad. He was a smart guy. I failed English in college. That's why I'm in the Navy, because I'm the master of the short sentence. But I do have like I said, a big background in the Navy, which is here, and I did a lot of headquarters times, and I have a good background in intermodal systems in the maritime industry for NIT. I also own a small business, a couple rental properties. I employ people. I understand what people make, how they work, how to pay them on time. And I will say that, like I said, I've had tenants for 12, 16 years, and they've gone from one house to another to a bigger one as their family has grown. I value their honesty, and those tenants have. They've been honest with me, and sometimes they late on the rent, and they come out and tell me they're right on the rent. We mark it off, and we're fine, and we keep on moving. So honesty is important to me, and putting everything on the table as well. George Patton used to say bad news doesn't get better with age, and it doesn't. So if there is an issue, it needs to be taken care of. And in this case, in politics, it's certainly the longer you wait, the more entrenched it becomes, and the more people, unfortunately, sometimes think it's the truth or it's the way it needs to happen. I hate the answer of, well, it's always been that way. Doesn't make it right. We need to fix it.
Awesome. I think that about wraps it up. Any final thoughts or anything before we end it?
No, I thank you very much for your time. We're out on
absolutely.
George's front porch. You probably heard a couple cars go by, but it's a beautiful day. It's cooled off a little bit from before. It's nice to sit here and look at 3 American flags flying on this really short street already.
Yeah. We got a lot of veterans on this street.
A lot of good people.
A lot of active duty too. I think I might be the only veteran. The rest are active duty Navy here that you see on almost everyone. Well, there's a retired Marine 2 doors down.
Yeah.
But so we kind of take over the street here. But yep, you can vote for Ken right now. If you between the 9 and 5 is the hours on Union Street over there by Harbor Park. You can vote for him in person there, or on January 20th from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. That's what we think it is at your regular polling place where you vote for any other election. You can vote for him there as well.
And I do appreciate those votes. Like to say, I like to change politics. I want to make a politician that's available to the public. Right now, I want to, I'm hoping to knock out a few 100 more doors prior to next week. On the Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, prior to Tuesday, we'll probably not be knocking, but handing out flyers on doorknobs, encouraging people to vote.
Yep, and if you want to know what the 94th District is, it's on my Facebook profile picture. It's pretty much the northern part of Norfolk. All of Ocean View, Willoughby Spit, on down like Hampton Boulevard.
Granby, down Little Creek, part of Hampton Boulevard. I was up putting up signs on Hampton Boulevard yesterday.
There you go. So if you live in that area, you're in the 94th District, and so please consider voting for Ken O'Brien 1 week from Tuesday on the 20th of June, 2023. He's got to win the primary. It doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Republican. You can vote in this primary.
Yeah.
The Democrat has no opposition, so you could be a Democrat and still vote for Ken.
Yeah, 2 things on that. Every vote is critical. Do get out and vote. The 20th is an important day. Democrat or Republican, you can't vote on it. So it's, when it comes November and jokingly, people look at the ballot and go, God, who picked these 2 idiots?
Yep.
You picked those 2 idiots because you didn't vote in the primary. One of those idiots could be me. But people ask that question. Think about it. That's 1 out of every 39 to 40 voters in this district, registered voters voting in the primary. It's a sad number.
And one thing that sets you apart from the others is you're a veteran and you're not a lawyer.
Yes. Sharks, God, God invent. Why did God invent lawyers? So sharks hit somebody to be afraid of.
If you love lawyers, Ken probably not your guy.
Yeah. So
maybe he is still. Who knows?
We'll do this again before November, and
okay.
When I win the primary, and talk about the Democrat after that.
There you go. There you go. Sounds good.
Talk about dark money. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, he's already got like 6 figures of funding, so it's amazing how that happens.
All from out of state.
Yep. Interesting. All right, Ken. Thanks for your time.
No. Thank you for your time. I know it's important.
All right. Bye-bye.